like we've had a lot of clients where they didn't realize they had ADHD. And so it's like, what the hell's wrong with my partner? When someone receives a diagnosis of ADHD, that's where, that's why they're having that difficulty. And it can actually improve, the relationship.
Yeah. Well, just having that understanding that, hey, I'm not just a jerk. There's something wrong, and
Right.
and I can fix it. There's something I can do about it.
That's right.
But unless you acknowledge that there is something and find out that there's something that can be done about it, then you just go around that circle over and over and over again.
Right.
That's a great insight. I love that.
And then just the other, just thinking there too was there's a lot of people that have difficulty getting employment.
Right.
And there's a lot of our clients that have had difficulty keeping their employment.
Yeah.
So, that's where they need, whether it be the pharmaceutical approach or what we offer, that's going to make a big difference in terms of these, these risk factors.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing for employers to maybe be thinking about. Is your employee who's that difficult employee or one who's inconsistent, could be something deeper, could be something neurological that's going on, not just they're a slacker.
Right.
So that's a good point. Some good things here. Now, the next question I have is, what are some of the ways in which you diagnose and treat ADHD in women?
Well, and again, like at our clinic, we do continuous performance tests. So the IVA and the TOVA and the Connors, they're objective measurements of auditory and visual focus. That's one of the pieces that we put in place. We do a QEEG, a brain scan, and that allows us to see not only if there's, like we're looking at the magnitude of brainwaves, if there's too much or too little, but we're also looking at the asymmetry. If people have alpha asymmetry, depression, rumination, if they have beta asymmetry, anxiety, busy brain. So that's one of the great things about the brain scan, because it can also allow us to see what other conditions might be happening as well. We also do cognitive perceptual. So we use instruments like the Synaptic, the NeuroTracker, that can literally measure 10 core, visual and brain processing skills. So again, now we've had people, honestly, Trevor, too, like where they had been given a diagnosis of ADHD, but then this goes back a couple of years ago. I had a female client, 15 years old. She did the TOVA. And we could see there were some auditory things. And I had asked her, because of my sports background, I said, have you ever gone to see an audiologist? And no. So they went and saw the audiologist. Sure enough, she had something, within her inner ear. They corrected that.
Oh.
And the focus issues were gone.
Big difference.
So going back to that earlier, I think these are the things that need to be, that instrument in and itself helped us. Okay, let's just double check. There's metabolic issues.
Right.
If you have low thyroid, right? And we see that often with females, thyroid and depression go hand in hand. Well, if you have low energy levels, guess what's going to happen to the ability to focus? We have to look at metabolic issues. I have a young gentleman right now, he's 10 years old, young lad, and he has heavy metal toxicity.
Oh, wow.
And that can impact metabolic conditions like that. Food insensitivities can have a huge impact on just being able to regulate your emotions, which in turn can affect your ability to focus. So I think those are some of the things, when we go to do this, the brain scan, again, it doesn't tell us what the metabolic condition, but it's saying there's something going on within the brain that's not allowing it to function.
Okay.
So We do, we've partnered up with another firm called Insight Psychological, so we can provide those psychoeducational assessments. We do a clinical interview. I think it's critical because we want to know, there is a strong genetic component to ADHD, so we need to see what their, history, their medical background is. So there's a lot of that clinical interview, the comprehensive in terms of the objective, the brain scan, the IVA, the TOVA, the cognitive perceptual. Those are the kind of things that come into our ADHD assessment. And again, if we have so many great people, we have physiotherapists, we have dietitians, we have other medical doctors, other psychological firms, where we can do all these other comprehensive assessments to make a complete, well-rounded assessment procedure.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too. It's not just one place, one profession, one professional that's helping. Like when people come here, like they have access to a large, a network of professionals to help.
And I think it's critical. Like, and I want to reemphasize this again, is that I am no in shape, form saying that the QEEG will tell you if you have ADHD. And I cannot emphasize this enough. There is no one instrument. Doesn't matter if it's a clinical interview, a psychoeducational assessment, an IVA, a TOVA. If somebody says you have ADHD based on one assessment tool, in my opinion, you would want to run far, far away from it. It's a combination. You have to look at it from a holistic point of view. There's a whole bunch of pieces of the puzzle, that come into it that we have to critically, look at, that can affect abilities, a person's brain functioning and health.
Yeah. So it can be any number of those things, but you have to get to the bottom of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Now, the next thing is, what are the benefits of enhancing or improving brain function using technology?
Well, I think the big thing is the client is learning to be self-reliant.
Right.
That they're not having to be dependent on a substance. So they're learning how to master their brain and being able to do it. And through that, we see that self-esteem, we see that self-confidence. That's the biggest thing. And the great thing about the technology is, we've talked about this before, you're taking the invisible and making it visible. So when they're seeing, wow, like my brain processing speed is improving, my sustained attention is improving. So not only is the actual ability to focus and their memory improving, but their self-confidence, their self-esteem is, because they're actually seeing it. And the great thing about the technology is we're making long-lasting, barring any emotional trauma or any concussions, where the brain is rewiring and changing, and it's weight training for the brain. So that's why, like in our program, like for a maintenance, we want people to have a mindfulness meditation practice, because we know that cortical thickening happens in the prefrontal cortex, which improves their executive functioning. We also know through mindfulness meditation that the stress response, because the amygdala, areas of the brain that are responsible for emotional, responses, they shrink. And so it's literally weight training for the brain. So that's one of the great thing about, like, don't get me wrong, I love, there's technology like the Muse, there's technology like the Focus Band, but the great thing about practicing mindfulness is you can do it anywhere, any place, and you don't have to be reliant on technology or the pharmaceutical. And there's going to be times when you're in a business meeting where you're going to be able to, you can't be reliant on something outside of yourself. You have to be able to empower yourself and do it on your own. So that's, technology at the beginning can assist them, but eventually what we want people to do is be able to do it on their own.
Yeah, not have the training wheels of the technology. It's the technology that teaches you the skill, and then you can pick it up from there and do it yourself. And
I know this is going to sound strange again, but one of the benefits of COVID is that a lot of these companies, like for example, NeuroTracker, Synaptic, a lot of these companies have come out and done home training. So now we can have clients throughout the whole world. They don't have to come to our office. They can do this training, and like for example, the NeuroTracker, people can get a year subscription, and they can go and do this even 6 minutes a day, Trevor. Like just 6 minutes a day of doing the NeuroTracker has clinically shown working memory improve, brain processing, sustained attention. So the great thing about these programs, like where it only was available to elite athletes, now people can have access, and they can have access, literally out of the convenience of their home. So that's one of the great benefits of technology.
That is so good. And every time I come here, I get to see the neurocognitive room. I get to see how things work, and it's like I want to try some of these toys. I want to take some of them home and see how it works for me, because I'm in a highly technical field, and I think there's times when I could definitely use that boost, especially in the afternoon, after I've done a lot of technical work in the mornings, and I still need a little bit of extra focus. I think that could really help out a lot.
And I just had a business executive. Now, he doesn't have ADHD, but I just had a business executive, and he mentioned today that his NeuroTracker scores weren't great. And what do you think of the first question that I asked him about that? Because he was wondering why that might. He started off really well, but then really petered at the end. What do you think might be going on for them? What do you think I asked him?
Are you gaming?
I do ask that for a lot of the kids. But first question I asked him was, what's been the quality of your sleep?
Oh.
And this is one of the things that we do at our program, is we want to make sure that we're teaching adults and children how to breathe in and out of their nose. And I've become a certified Oxygen Advantage instructor. And so again, I think people think, they laugh when I say this, but I cannot overstate. If I had to teach one tool and one tool only, breath work. Because when you're using your breath work, not only from a physiological, you can heal the brain and the body, anxiety, depression, ADHD, but also you're learning how to be in the moment, and you're learning how to manage your focus better. And so and he came back and said, yeah, my sleep hasn't been great. So just, and again, going back to your technology question, now they can see it, and they're like, oh my gosh, it really reemphasizes the importance of getting a good, deep, restorative sleep.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Now, the next question goes back into advantages and disadvantages of using pharmaceuticals to manage ADHD. So give us the pros and the cons.
Well, when I saw that question, I go back, I've had several university students. They've come to our clinic, say November.
Yeah.
And they've got exams in December. Or we've had, similar situation. They've approached us in February, and they've got their finals in April.
Yeah.
Now, my program won't be able to do it for them.
Right.
Because the downside to my program, if I want to put it that way, is this is slow and steady wins the race. Usually it's going to take 3 to 5 months for the brain to rewire, to get that neuroplasticity going. The great thing about medication is it's fast acting. It kicks in very quickly. That's one of the best advantages. So if there are young children and they're really struggling in the classroom, and that's where that medication can kick in quickly, especially, and I've seen it, being a school counselor in the past, if they're in a large classroom and they don't have that IPP program or that other support, that medication will have a significant impact. If it's the right amount, right dosage, it can make a big impact right away. I think the other advantage of the pharmaceutical approach is that it's easy, it's convenient. There's not a lot of, you take the pill and you're good to go. So there's not, like where our program, it's, it's work.
Yeah, it's bodybuilding, muscle building for the brain.
Right.
Yeah.
But those are the two primary. It's fast acting. It's easy to take, and those are like for people that they might need to be able to focus. Like, if they've got a deadline and they have, been accurately diagnosed and they don't have that time, but there's something really big and important, that's where I think the pharmaceutical approach can really be beneficial.
Yeah, and the good thing is you can combine it with your program as well,
right,
to help kind of wean them off the pharmaceuticals as they're reprogramming and retraining their brain to focus and mindfulness and
right.
a sustained attention and all of these things that you do.
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for medication.
Right.
I have a friend who's a medical doctor, and I like this metaphor. And if someone breaks their arm, they're going to put a cast because there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
But if we leave that on, what's going to happen to that arm?
It's going to atrophy.
Right. Yeah. And so that's where we need to do the physiotherapy. So again, I believe, and that's one of the things, again, if someone does get an accurate diagnosis of ADHD, it cannot be left untreated. People are going to develop some good coping strategies, but particularly more for children, that's where that self-esteem piece really comes in, because if they're falling behind, it can really have a significant impact on their mental health. And so, I'm very open and honest about this. It's like, if I had a choice, yes, I want to try to get them more on the non-pharmaceutical approach. And again, omega-3s, magnesium, other supplements, what we do here.
Yeah.
But if they can't do our approach, I definitely, the medical approach is key. And again, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. They got to find the right amount, the right dosage, the right medication, because there's two general categories. And sometimes there's a little bit of time where they get the right medication and right dosage.
Excellent. Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. It's been very informative, very enlightening. I learned a lot in this session, as I do with every session that I have with you. And if someone needs an assessment or someone is curious about the programs you have here, if you're a woman and you think you may have ADHD or you want to get an assessment, how do they go about doing that with you?
So our phone number is 780-803-5646. I'll say that again, 780-803-5646. Our company's called Zone Performance Psychology. So if they just Google Zone Performance Psychology, it will come up. Our website is zonepsych.com, and that's another way that they can reach out to us. And often, like, we have the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Can you remind me again? I apologize with the name of the YouTube channel.
Sure. Well, if you're on YouTube and you're in the Edmonton area and you are looking for anything psychology or psychiatrist related, not psychiatrist, sorry. If you look for Psychologist Edmonton, do that search in the YouTube search bar, you'll come up with our channel, Zone Psychology's YouTube channel, and you can watch any of the videos there, and you can also find the links in the descriptions, and we can definitely get you in touch with John and the other psychologist here at Zone and get you signed up for an assessment.
Yeah, and I really want to reemphasize, we have a 15-minute free consultation.
Right.
So if people want to contact us and find a little bit more information about what we do in terms of assessment and treatment, because again, like in our program too, if people are doing neurofeedback and cognitive perceptual, we offer free counseling in that process. So if people are doing the neurofeedback process, we want to offer that support for their, for that individual and for their family.
That's excellent. That's a new thing I didn't know about that you guys are offering here. So again, if you guys are interested and you're looking for some help and you're looking for different answers as far as any psychology-related issues, contact John, contact Zone Psych, and reach out and set up that assessment. Get that 15-minute phone call and just, satisfy your curiosity. Again, thank you so much, John, for everything, and we will see you guys on the next video.